Most people think normal means safe. But what if your version of normal was built on trauma, chaos, and pain? I'm talking to Lisa Gerardy, author of Chasing Normal, who survived abuse starting at the age of 2 and spent decades unlearning everything she thought was love. Lisa's story will challenge everything you believe about healing relationships and the lies we tell ourselves to survive. If you've ever wondered why you keep attracting the same toxic patterns or question if healing is even possible, this episode's for you. Why does it always feel like sometimes we are trying to chase what is normal? That is exactly what we are doing today on today's show. This is True Crime Connections. I'm Tiffany, your host, and today's guest is Lisa Gerardi, who is the author of Chasing Normal. Love the name of your book. Love it, love it, love it.
Thank you. It's what I've always been doing. There are other Chasing Normal books actually, so it has the long subtitle. But yeah, I think it's a concept people relate to.
I think we can all relate to that because there's so many
Mm.
times we don't even know what normal is.
No, I don't think anybody does right now.
Well, definitely not now. But
Yeah.
yeah. And it totally makes sense though, because your journey really started at age 2. So,
Mhm.
I mean, that's literally your entire life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've always remembered it. Did you want me to talk about that or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was first sexually abused at age 2 by my teenage step uncle, Norman. Hate that name. And I've always known about it. It's not like I had therapy and it was like kind of teased out of me. I've always remembered it. And I tried to tell my grandmother, and she said, we don't talk about that. And I didn't tell anyone until I was 8. And then nobody did anything anyway. So yeah. So for the longest time, I thought I was normal, but I got to my 20s and, lost my ever loving mind and realized I wasn't.
Right. Well, then you also found yourself being abused by your mom's boyfriend, right?
Yes, yes, Rod. My mom was a cute young divorcee. She worked with lawyers and doctors, but she chose to date a married, alcoholic, abusive security guard. That was who she chose, and she kept him for 7 years. So he started probably around the time I was 11, coming over when she wasn't there and stuff like that. And I told her about it, and then she took like a year to break up with him.
Wow.
And he would beat her. He dislocated her jaw a couple times. She would never press charges. I called the police. She would not press charges. Yeah. The
Isn't it
lifetime.
crazy? It's like how it kinda, like, follows you. I see that with so many of my guests, like,
Yes.
once it happens to you, it's almost like there's a neon flashing light.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I would always say, do I have a tattoo on my forehead or something? Like, yeah. No, and then of course, I didn't have good relationships, stop, like, I thought, "Oh, this is fine, I'll just get over it. It's fine. Everybody's fine. I'm fine." You know?
Right.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. I've drink that much now, but definitely alcohol was a crutch throughout my life, my young life especially, you know, because it turns off that anxiety you have, as a survivor, I guess.
Right. Sometimes I wonder if it escalates it. You know what I mean? Like, we all
It
drink
does.
to because
Mhm,
we think it's relaxing
mhm,
us,
mhm,
but
mhm.
as I've gotten older and wiser, I was like, I don't think it's really doing that.
No, there's a whole anxiety concept, which is true. Just this past weekend, I met a friend for brunch and she was all, frazzled. She has anxiety and does not take medication for it, but I'm a pill pusher, so and she said, "I think it's the wine. I drank a lot of wine last night." And I said, "Yes, that's exactly it. When you drink a lot the night before, you wake up and you have this sense of not only what did I say that was stupid or what did I type on Facebook that was stupid now, but your body is just like, all what is happening? I was feeling good, now it's all gone." So yeah, it's definitely I didn't mean to blabber on like that.
No, you are fine. It makes sense. You're like discombobulated. So your
Yeah.
body doesn't know what it wants, what it's doing, none of it.
Mhm.
So are you in a healthy relationship now?
Yes, I have been with Chris for 20 years. We met, our first date rather, let me speak English now, was on Martin Luther King Day in 2005. And then we were married by October 15th, 2005. We had bought a house together in April of 2005. So if you were watching this, you would have thought, this is going to explode. This is crazy. Is she pregnant? Like, what is going on? But no, we're still together. We both work from home all day and nobody has tried to kill anybody or anything like that. It's just very mellow. The one thing I will say about a relationship is, I grew up, even though it's a long time ago now, I'm 53, but I grew up in an abusive environment all the time. And when he'll get hurt by something I say, and it's like it takes me a while to even understand that. Like, what? What do you mean? Oh, that hurts you? Okay. I mean, because I'm in such a still to this day, like as long as nobody's hitting each other or, nobody's being raped, it's all fine. I've really had to teach myself not to be so sarcastic to people, you know, because
Gotcha.
I don't get it sometimes. Like it's not that I'm a
Right.
sociopath, but it's just like, what? This is great. We got a great house. We got these huge dogs. Why are you upset?
Right. Do you think it's like dark humor that you're doing
I
or
have very dark humor. Yeah. Sometimes when I think of something funny, I will run it past my son because he is the only person that is as close to dark as I am. And if he says, "Ooh, mom, yikes," then I know. Then I know it's no. It's a no. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, that's important because when you're used to such like chaos and then you
Uh-huh.
actually get to calm, it's a learning curve for both people. It really is because they
Mm-hmm.
have to
Uh-huh.
understand how to deal with you and you got to understand how to deal with them because it's not what you're used to.
No, not at all. Not at all. To me, he comes from like a upper middle class normal family, but getting to know the family, there is no normal really. His mother was someone who, as we used to say, started speaking Seagrams at 3 o'clock. Seagrams, you know
Yes.
bourbon, I think. I don't know what it was, but she did start to speak Seagrams. So yeah, and he said, looking back, he now remembers that yes, when he came home from school, his mother was already drinking. So nobody's really normal.
Well, no, there's no such thing as normal. And I don't know if anyone would be able to even pinpoint if something was normal because it would be still abnormal to everybody else.
Right. We're like, oh, is that what we're supposed to be doing?
Right. I mean, obviously, she was trying to deal with something.
Mhm. Her own childhood. She told me when she was people tell me things. You might have this face too, where people just tell you stuff. But she did one night years ago. She had been drinking and she starts crying and says she's a bad mother and her mother never wanted her and all this stuff. And I said, "You're not a bad mother. You're not." But yeah, It was weird because I didn't even think that she was gonna like me when I first met her because they're, like, super Catholic, and I am agnostic on a good day, and I was a single mom. I thought she was gonna tell me, "Get out," but no, instead yeah,
I don't think she
she
had a
liked me,
choice.
I guess. Yeah, no, Grace wasn't gonna give her one.
Yeah. I mean, it's so important though to be able to go through these motions and be able to figure out who you are. Did you end up doing any therapy or did you do anything to kind of reattach?
Here and there, when I was 19, my boyfriend at the time paid for me to go to group therapy. I was still living with my parents at the time and my mom and my stepdad by this time. He never he didn't hurt her, hurt me or anything. And I told him I'm going to therapy. And my mom, I don't know what planet she lives on. She's gone now, but what planet she did live on. And she was like, "Oh, I hope you find peace, Lisa." Like, really? Like, you have no clue. And later in her life, she used to tell people, "I didn't date when Lisa was little." Like, really? Rod? No? You don't remember that?
Isn't it
No.
crazy how they forget? Like, that is a prime example though of generational trauma.
Mhm, mhm.
And they don't.
Yeah,
It's like they mask it or they don't wanna remember the things that they did, and it's probably for
mhm,
their own protection, you know what I mean? Because I'm sure there's
mhm,
things I've done that I don't remember doing, but it's a way that we try to protect ourselves.
mhm. Yeah, and you said generational trauma. That's definitely my family because my mom was like it in a child named It. Have you read that book? It's basically it's a good one. I mean, not good, happy, but basically her mom was kind of shitty to my Aunt Carol, her older sister. She loved Uncle Johnny, who I never met because he died at 16 in a farm accident. And she really doted on my Uncle Jimmy. My mom was it. My mom got her lunch money stolen. My mom needed a new jacket and she told her, wear Johnny's old jacket. So she's, going to school in her dead brother's jacket with no lunch money. And my mom complained about the toothpaste or something. So my grandma grabbed her and scrubbed her teeth with Comet. So all my mom's teeth were bridges and then later dentures because she scrubbed the enamel off. So my mom was probably thinking I did a good job compared to that. She probably thought, yeah, I didn't scrub her teeth.
Right. I mean, when you have something like that to compare it to, you're like, "Well, thanks for not doing that." But, you
Right,
know
right. Yeah.
but that might also make sense to why abuse. When it's something that you're
Mhm,
used to, it's hard
mhm,
to get away from it.
mhm. For sure. I didn't keep in touch with my brother, and he's passed away now. My nephew told me that my brother was very abusive to him growing up, but not his sister. Never laid a hand on the sister, but to him, he was very abusive. And then I have heard the sister, my niece, I guess. I don't keep in touch with any of these kids. They're grown-ups now, was in jail for beating her daughter until she was unconscious. So it's definitely learned and goes down and down, and I don't know, you could talk to my son, he'll tell you, he had a great childhood and I make good cookies. I think he's forgetting some things, but, okay, I'll take it.
I love cookies.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I do make good cookies, okay. Is that all I
Hey,
have to do?
yeah, I mean, that's good. I mean, throughout the years, I'm sure we all make mistakes. My son does like to hold on to some of them. I'm also a
Mhm,
product of generational trauma. So I get it.
mhm,
Landed me in a few abusive relationships.
mhm.
That's what is your so-called normal.
Right, right.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to
still,
unlearn that. Yeah.
yeah, you have to unlearn all of that. I think I learned normal per se from friends, especially in high school. I was friends with more of like the preppy kind of good kids, and so I go to their house and I notice that their parents were nice to them. I was like, "Whoa, this is this is like TV in here, This is not, I mean, isn't your mom mad that you're home?
Oh,
Don't you
man.
have to do don't you have to do a bunch of chores? No, I'm just gonna watch TV and have a snack. Are you gonna get in trouble for that? Because I had to, dust, vacuum, whatever as soon as I got home.
Right. It's an eye opener. That's why I mean some parents won't even let their kids have friends because then the cat's out the bag.
Mhm, mhm. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. My mom let me have friends, and she did lose her crap a couple of times in front of them. There are a couple of friends, Carla, she's a vet now. When we were 15, my mom was driving us to the fair, and she had a minor fender bender, and she lost it, all of her profanity coming out, and I just grabbed Carla and said, "We'll just walk the rest of the way," and Carla still remembers that too.
Scarred for
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, her parents were from mellow.
Yeah, I guess that would stick out then.
Yeah.
So since like you've seen it go down so many different generations, what would you tell somebody that is going through the same things?
And is being abused or is trying
Yeah.
not to be an abuser?
Well, both.
I yeah, I mean, books were great for me and my husband too, because Sergio, his stepchild, is his only child. So when he was 13 and starting to get difficult, we read books because we didn't know what to do with any of this because we were like good kids, we had wine coolers, but I mean, this was marijuana. This was another. So it's funny. Yeah, I mean, I learned from other parents for sure, talking to other parents and books and books and books and talking to my son like he's a person and not just this thing I have to manage. And he's always been very, very bright like that. When he was 5, he got thrown out of preschool and I was a single mom and I was like crying and I have to go to work. You can't get thrown out of preschool. So I took him to a psychologist because the preschool woman said he's like a sociopath. He doesn't feel remorse or whatever. And so I took him to the psychologist and she said, so on most things he's average, but on abstract thinking and verbal abilities, he's off the charts. So he will argue you into a hole. This is the kid you say because I said so too. And I don't tell people that. So, yeah, he's not a sociopath, he's like me, we don't show our wounds, we don't have feelings in front of others. So, it's not that we don't have them, it's just you're not going to see them.
Right. Do you
Yeah.
wish that you did show them sometimes?
I mean, I have shown a lot in the past, like, currently, I'm not very touchy-feely. Part of it's because I take Prozac, which I believe should be put into the water system right now. But, yeah, I've been, like, screamy, yelly, crying, and all that. But I've learned, obviously, from one of the parenting books, Yes, Your Teen is Crazy, it's called, that you have to be with teens, you can't be screamy yelly because they love that. You're giving them what they want. So you have to be dispassionate cop. So I got used to being dispassionate cop with Sergio, with Richie when he was younger. I don't use his real name in the book, but so I got used to being like that. And that's how I was throughout. He's 28 now, but that's how I was throughout his teen years. Kind of, well, I'm sorry that you're upset about that, but these are the rules. Instead of, why did you come home late?
Right. I was always told to pick your battles because if all you do is scream, they're just gonna tune you out.
And yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So is your book kinda like your life story, or tell us about your book?
So it's I'm gonna write another one. It's not my whole life story. It is the abuse finding a normal relationship arc, if you will. So it starts with the abuse, which some of my close friends will not read it because they don't want to know about it. And then it goes through, finding normalcy, starting out really in this dark place and watching my mom be in dark places and finally coming to the point where one day I woke up and said, you could date someone who does not need to be fixed, not neutered, but fixed. And so that's when I met Chris. Well, I already met him, but that's when I agreed to go out with Chris because I was like, he's he's not like an alcoholic or he doesn't seem to be abusive. He's not very like alpha male. Yeah, I could do that.
That's another thing, like, we always want to fix people, and instead, we need to look at ourselves and fix
Mhm,
ourselves so we can
mhm.
find the right person, instead of
Exactly.
finding these people that are so broken beyond what we are. You can't
Mhm,
take somebody that's way broken than you and think that you're gonna have something healthy. It's just
mm-mm.
not gonna work.
No, no, not at all. No way. Before I started dating Chris, it was after I met him, but then it's kind of a Cinderella story. We met at speed dating, but Lisa being Lisa, I got hungry and the bathrooms were gross. So I left early because I was like, I'm going to drive through McDonald's. Forget it. I'm out of here. These guys are looking over my head, looking at sports on TV. I'm done. So in the small amount of time I talked to Chris, we determined that someone who worked with him at Chico's had a son who was in my class at a Montessori school. So, I didn't think anything of it, went home, got my McDonald's. 2 months later, when school starts, that woman's there going, Chris Gerardy wants to see you again. And I was like, well, I'm seeing someone already, the alcoholic. I'll stop there. But I was seeing him. And so after I finally got my wits about me in 3 months and got rid of him, then I said, okay, I'll meet you for lunch on Martin Luther King Day. And so that's it. I,
I think you're
I
the first
was like,
success story from speed dating.
really? I have a good friend who met his wife in speed dating.
Really?
Mhm. But she didn't have him on her list. She had scratched him off. But they're married. They've been married like a million years.
That is funny. Then how did he win her
Mhm.
over?
I don't know. I don't know. She said it was because she didn't like his horrible green shirt he was wearing or something. Yeah, they have 4 children. Yeah, so it must be going okay.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah. That's
You
funny.
know,
Yeah, girls, we can't be that picky, or guys that you're gonna X somebody over a color shirt they're wearing.
right, right,
We should be more concerned with more serious issues.
for sure. Yeah, like Chris and I have similar beliefs on, political and religious and stuff. And I think that's very important. I know friends who are married to people who vote differently and stuff. And I don't think I could do that. Like, I don't understand how that works. I think you have to have like the important things in common. And those would definitely, you know, rule over, looks would be more important rather than looks or clothes.
Right, right. It's just funny to hear because I mean, there's times there'll be like a huge red flag right in front of us, and we don't look at that, but instead you're like eyeing their shoes or you know what I mean?
Right, 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 right. No. Yeah, my first
No.
husband was he still is handsome for his age, but it was such a wrong relationship. But, he was tall and had dark hair and, he's good looking and funny. So, yeah, we never talked about anything deep. That should have been a sign.
Right. So where if somebody wanted to get your book, where is it found?
It is on, I have one right here. Here you go. It's on Barnes and Noble and Amazon and other places. There's a hardcover, paperback, and ebook, and the audiobook's coming. I'm working on that.
In your voice?
I swear, in my own voice, not AI.
Yeah.
Swear.
It's funny. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
I don't think so. Like, trying to, no, I don't think so.
I heard nothing about the book or anything that you want people to know that's in it or
There are pictures. So if you're like me and want to go straight for the pictures, they are there from the 70s and 80s. So that's something. About the book, if you were abused, and I have a note up front about it, I have minimized it was more graphic before. So I have taken out things that are really graphic, but it might need a trigger warning, I would say, for some of the chapters. And I do have a sense of humor. Humor is a coping mechanism, so there are some funny parts too. If you can believe that we go from childhood sexual abuse to laughter, it does somehow.
I get that. A lot of times we sit and laugh on my show because it's therapeutic. And once you get to a certain place, you can kind of be like, what in the fuckity fuck? You know what I mean?
Right? Exactly.
And
Exactly. And you laugh, but it comes later, like not during. Like I
oh, for
can
sure.
now semi laugh about my endometrial biopsy I had in December, but at the time it was not funny. It was very painful. But now it's like, because Chris was in there and he would inadvertently squeeze my hand whenever the painful part was coming. So then I knew the painful part was coming. So then I was tensed up more. And then when we're done, he said, "Oh, no wonder it hurt. You know that thing we clean the bathroom drains with? That's what it looked like that they were using." I'm like,
It's a oh, a
that explains a lot. Yeah.
little bit. I did have two
Yeah.
questions that I just thought of. Did anything ever happen to your uncle? Was no charges were ever
No, 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 no charges. What happened? He was staying with us in Florida. He lived in Illinois at the time when I was 8. When I was 2, it was in Illinois. So the only thing that happened, he was like 17 by that time, and my mom sent him home, and that's it. And then from what I hear from my cousin, other little girls had said, that he was doing these things. He had his own children. He never touched my cousins. I think he knew their father would kill him. And he died in, I think, 2021. From what I hear, he was a big alcoholic and drug user. I think he died of like liver disease or something in his 50s.
gotcha. Wow.
I know.
Probably
Karma.
yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Probably trying to mask what he was doing. I mean, that's wrong.
Right. Oh, yeah. How could you not? I wonder what his father did to him then. His father never did anything to me. He was a grandpa to me, but you've got to wonder, where is he getting this from? Because boys tend to repeat the behavior, whereas girls tend to drink themselves silly or have an eating disorder or, rationalize their boyfriend hitting them. You know, we don't tend to, and some of us do, Mary Kay Letourneau, but, some of us will abuse children in that way, but I did not. I never understood that.
Right. No, me either. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
I don't get it at all. And I'm glad I don't get it.
Right. Yeah. No, no. When I was like 28, 29, I taught at a high school. It was an alternative high school. And I was cute back then, and a couple of the boys would come up to me and go, "Do you want to go to the prom with me?" And, "Hey, Miss Petty, I'm 18 now." And I just would tell them I'm not Mary Kay Letourneau. And they would say, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "You got Google, figure it out."
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Not doing it.
And do you have any kind of relationship with your mother now?
He passed away in 2019. At that time, we found out she had dementia and she was hiding. And so my son saw her 2 months before she died. He was down in Florida visiting his dad, and he went to her apartment to help her change a light bulb. And he said she was just he was crying, telling me this. He said, "She just said so many horrible things about you, Mom." that you were a bad mother and all these things, and she hates that chair you bought her, and I'm like, "Don't it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's her disease." And he's like, "I'm so sorry I didn't stick up for you." And like, "It's okay. It's okay." And then a couple months after that, his father, who was local, that's who the cops called when they found her in her apartment. It was like her mail piled up, and the mailman said, "We need to do a check on her." And the cops went in, and she'd probably been gone for a few days, they said.
Mm.
They told me to get a hazmat team before I went in there. So, yeah. So my ex husband called me. He was crying, and I just felt bad that he had to be the one to tell me this because we've been divorced for a million years and he still has to deal with my family. And then my son was in Ohio. We had like the half floor down to the basement. He was in there, and I went down to tell me, and he just looked at me and said, "Is it grandma?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Okay, I need to be alone." So, yeah, I knew that's how it would happen because we tried to move her. Chris can't understand why I even spoke to her, but it's because my brother wasn't around ever, so I was her only kid. And we tried to buy her a condo. She backed out at the last minute, and so I just told my son, we're gonna get a phone call one day because she won't let me help her."
And that's what happened.
Hmm. Yep.
It's a shame that your son had to go through that. Like, that's not what you need to put on a child, but
Oh yeah.
clearly she wasn't in the right mind.
Yeah. No, no. She tried to hide it. I could tell a little bit, but yeah.
My
No.
dad was just diagnosed with that Lewy body dementia. So
Oh,
that's
yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what my mom had. I mean, they just knew she had some kind of dementia because she fell a lot, like
mm,
always throughout her life. She was always a faller. My stepdad, he was 20 years older than her, from Boston, Italian World War II veteran. I loved him. He would be like, "Jan, you'd trip over a matchstick, Jan." Like, kind of, because she always fell.
right,
Funny at the time, but yeah, looking back, that was probably a big sign that there was something wrong.
right.
Yeah, she had a couple of concussions. So,
Oh, dang, yeah. She fell hard.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. She didn't mess around with the falling. Yeah. That's why I wear flat shoes and stare at the ground when I walk.
Yeah, right? I hear that. I'm too tall. I have to wear
Yeah.
flat ones.
Oh,
All right. Well, if
yeah. She
you
always,
couldn't have
okay.
anything now.
No, no. No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Well, then, yeah, I want to thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.